Hello everybody and welcome back. It is Dark Razeth and I'm bringing you guys the second episode of my free-to-play character guide. Today's character we're going to be talking about is probably the most important and the most amount of people overlook and probably end up using him as fodder, and that is Elson. You get to him very early on in the game. Specifically, right around the end of Chapter 3, depending on how many side missions you do or end up, if you end up retrying any missions. And he is probably the single most powerful unit anyone can bring to help them clear the story. He has the most value of anybody in a 4-man squad because of his abilities. I am actually glad that I decided to delay this video and not release it yesterday, but today, because he is actually being nerfed in the next few weeks. Not specifically him, but one of his skills is being nerfed, and thus that does nerf him as a whole. But his skills are only half this skill is only half the reason why he's good. So first, let's go over how you unlock him. The first thing that you need to do is you need to reach account level 5. By the time you reach account level 5, you're probably not even gonna, you probably won't even notice your account level until you're already rank 5. Number 2 is complete 30 battles with a supporter. What this means is that every time that you go into a mission when you bring a friend unit along, that counts as bringing a supporter. Your third one is gift him 300 stigma. So you need to have 300 stigma, and then you give it to him, and then you'll be able to complete the connection. However, by the time you go to actually unlock Elson, you probably have already gotten enough stigma just from either pre-registration events, or if you're doing regular events in the game, or if there are new events going on in the game at the time. Let's say a year from now, if you guys are watching this video, the stigma you'll probably be getting then will probably be more than if you start, or when you start the game. But if not, you go to Abyss and you'll see each floor gives you a stigma and gold as a reward, so very early on you'll end up with 300 either way. Now, why is Elson so instrumental? Even though, I mean, you look at him right here, he looks like a unit anybody would fodder. He doesn't look very impressive at all. Alrighty, so Elson, what are his skills? For once, I'm actually going to go over all of the skills because for Silk, I mean, it kind of matters to know exactly the reason why she's good, but just know for her, speed buffs. For Elson, his skill 1 is a 50% chance to decrease attack of one enemy for 1 turn. Now, this unit, or this skill is actually sort of a hidden gem. The reason why is it can be clutch if you use it and you end up proccing attack down on, say, a boss. Right as they're about to use their ultimate skill 3. It's the 3 little red dots on one of their skills. And then it'll say INC because it's incoming on the next turn. If you manage to reduce their attack by 50% the turn before they unleash their ultimate, then that's golden. Skill 2. AoE meteors that hit all enemies, and this heals allies proportional to the enemy's health. The enemy's max health, sorry. This is a very small to medium heal depending on the enemy, and it doesn't actually get used as often as you'd think, him being a healer. This actually isn't the part that makes him shine. This heals your team for about 200 to 1,000 depending on the enemy that you are hitting. And the real reason that Elson gets used by everybody is that, let's go to his Awaken actually to show you this. Alright, so his skill 3, this is his skill 3, increases defense of all allies for 2 turns with buffing magic, and then if you burn it, it lasts for 3 turns, and you see it's on a 4-turn cooldown. Now, why do we specifically mention the turns for this one, but none of the other skills, and then how many turns it lasts and how many turns it extends? Well, that'll be important in just a second. Now, right now, this is a 50% defense boost, but this is the part of him that is being nerfed because increased defense is being nerfed as a skill. Now, I will put a timestamp for right now for the defense down skill, and if you guys come here at a later date and the skill has been nerfed, which it's going to be, I'll let you know by how much, because right now it is 50%. Once you have his third awaken, however, it's attack and defense of all allies for 2 turns, 3 turns if you burn it. So this is the reason why he should be in every single person's team to clear the story. This is the reason why we built him the gear way that we do. Now, an important note before I continue on, this is an important public service announcement, is that the nerf to him will either be a very slight effect on him, or it'll mildly kneecap him. If it goes from like a 50% down to like a 30 or 25%, that'll really hurt, but it is still a double buff, and the meta of this game is a buff meta, so that is the reason why even after the nerf, he's still going to be extremely important. Now, this next topic I have not covered in a video yet. It is skill enhance. There will be an entire video that I will put out for you guys on how to skill enhance and a couple of priorities depending on who you have, and this is a free-to-play unit who I am recommending should be your #1 priority even after the nerf. We'll see how big the nerf is, but I can pretty confidently say that this is the character you probably should be using your skill enhance on. So anywhere where you can see the 4 blue dots, which is most screens, click it and then click skill enhance, and you are going to want to go down to Elson. Now, real quick about skill enhances, they use Molagoras. I will go over how to get everything in a later video, so don't worry about that for now. The important thing is that when you skill enhance him, his skill 3 to +2, it reduces the turn cooldown by 1, which means you are going to have a 50% attack and pending 50% defense buff permanently as long as you burn it. 3 turn cooldown, 3 turn buff. That is why he is so important. That is why you should not use all of your Molagoras on all of your DPS units right now, because they're getting like, let's look right here. Let's look at Ravi, one of the best damage dealers that you can reroll for right now. Look at this. 5% additional damage dealt versus 50% additional damage permanently. What do you want for your team? I mean, it's very easy to tell. The second person you should probably raise it on is also a support, so I wouldn't worry about... I would stay away from skill enhancing your DPS. It's going to end up hurting you in the long run. So, what do you do to gear Elson? Let's go back to him here. So, because he has a 50% defense and 50% pending, or 50% defense pending and 50% attack buff permanently, pretty much, he is going to want to go first no matter the case, because, especially in PvP, if you can start out in Arena or the Guild Wars that's about to happen with your characters 50% hitting 50% harder and taking 50% less, those nukes that are going to come out, you're just going to shrug them off. So we want mandatory 4 speed set, and then the second set that I have here is life. I will recommend them in order for you, the best to the worst. The best one would be 2 life, the second best would be 2 defense, and the third best, which you shouldn't really use, but if you have like a really good effectiveness set, which is the hit set, that is, let me show you, that is, oh no, we're wasting time. Effectiveness set right here, this set. So, if you have a really godly, like T5 red piece with the perfect substats, now the stats you're going to want on every single piece of gear for him is going to be HP, defense, speed mandatory. If you could find speed, over any other stat sub-rolls. So, speed, defense, HP. Those are your 3 big things, and then if you manage to get effectiveness, sure, because that'll make him do his attack down more likely. So lastly, what artifact should you put on him? The first and most important one is a Wondrous Potion Vial. Jump cuts for the win. And the reason why this is so good is at max level, this is a 100% chance to dispel 1 debuff from an ally at the beginning of the turn. The reason why this is so good on him is because he's a support anyways, and so anything that will help him support better. If you are fighting a boss or an enemy, or if you're going to PvP and the meta right there is heavy debuff for that particular week or that particular month, this artifact is insane. The second best would be if you're going to bring him in, which you should, for hunts, and so for Golem or for Wyvern, you are going to want a 3-star artifact, which is called Daydream Joker. What this does is, because he is a very fast unit and is thus attacking a whole bunch, this allows him that over the course of the entire fight, he's actually going to be doing a reasonable amount of damage using this card because he is so quick. If you do not have either of these artifacts, another really good one is Water's Origin. It's kind of an unnecessary amount of tankiness. The next artifact actually has to do with this, where you don't want him to die because he's so paramount in your formation. So this says that if he takes 20% or more of his health, he recovers 8% of it, and then gets a whole his turn will come that much sooner. So keeping him alive, always a good thing. And then the last one, which I am currently using for him, is Prophetic Candle. If you have him built very tanky, which you should, and he ends up taking a lot of hits, then your cooldown will be reduced, and that's the reason why this one is good. However, as soon as you get that level 2 of his 3rd skill enhance, this does lose a lot of its value. So the earlier you use this, the earlier you pick this up, especially if you've used your skill enhances on other characters and you're just waiting to get them for him, then use this until then. Thank you guys for the video. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a comment down below. Leave a like on the video, and if you want to see more of my guides on Epic 7, then feel free to subscribe. See you guys in the next one.